Hello and welcome back to another recap. We are finally getting close to the tournament. The things are getting more tense. I won the last game. I won today's game. So I was playing young prodigy from Turkey. All of them are young. If you see from my own recaps, I'm playing youngsters, which is honestly good for me because I'm getting experienced. Young players are so good today. We just got Gukesh won the championship. He's just 18. Imagine other players, especially from Turkey, they're really, really good. Okay, so today we got another Kalashnikov opening. I was having black pieces, and my opponent were not prepared for this. Uh, I saw that he was preparing something because we entered the main line of the Kalashnikov. He was definitely prepared for the line that I played in the sixth round because he saw how I lost and what line I picked. But now I choose the different line. This is the most convenient line that even top grandmasters are playing on the high level. Also, it's a very good move for the club level. What is your point? You want to play normal Kalashnikov, but you want to avoid one specific line. In the main line with bishop e7, and when they go something like knight c4 and you play something like knight f6, there is the line where after bishop e3, when you play b5, they can play knight b6. So this is one of the very popular lines nowadays. People like to take this bishop on c8 after rook b8 takes here and queen c8. This is apparently good for white. Bishop here is bishop here, especially they eliminate your bishop here. Yeah, black got some development here, but white is very good. Bishop here is very important. So this line is actually stopping this immediately on the spot, because after knight c4 we are going to play rook b8 like I played in the game. So there is no more lines with bishop e3, and after b5 there is no move knight to b6. That's the main point of this line. But also there is some exceptions for different lines, because now after knight e3, knight f6 is the logical continuation anyway, and now white can play the move g3, bishop d3 also, everything of that is possible. On g3 there is the move h5. Now I'm intending to push h4, also getting the space on the king side. White should be prepared for this, because this is not easy to handle if you're first time seeing this type of Kalashnikov. Bishop d3 is a very logical move, protecting the pawn, preparing maybe knight e5. And now I decided to play g6. I want to develop my bishop here, because in future my bishop will be great on this diagonal if this diagonal gets open. My opponent castles, I played bishop g7, they played a4, I played castles myself, so everything is normal. Maybe a4 was something I consider as a waste of time, because my idea is not actually to play b5 myself. Like, I'm not gonna play b5 without a reason. I don't want to open up my light square weaknesses behind. Like, if I play, let's imagine my opponent is playing something normal like rook e1, for example, and now if I play b5, this is not good. a4 is on the way, so after b4 something, knight from c2 takes d5, a6 is hanging. The light square weaknesses are so huge, so I'm not really fan of these positions to make and create the light square weaknesses without concrete action. If I have concrete action after this, then it makes sense, but after this my position is just bad, because I need to bring my rook back. If I play this, then this is just simply bad. You can see from evaluation that this is just so bad. So that's why a4, my opponent thought that this is going to be a great counterplay for the queen side, but this is not my point. I just want to castle quickly. And after rook e1, solid move, creating the space for the bishop. I played very interesting move, rook c8. So any kind of knight c4, bishop c4 will step into some tactic discoveries with this knight. And anyway, I want to make a pressure on c2, which is thematic idea in the Kalashnikov opening. h3. So my opponent thought for a while here, because this position is not so much easy for white to handle. And also, honestly, I was thinking, what can white play? What kind of plan can they set up? Because if they jump early, knight from c2 to d5, I will always grab this knight with my bishop, And when they capture back with pawn, because capturing with the knight doesn't make sense, this is opening my bishop, and usually trading of the pieces in Kalashnikov suits black, because we are lacking in space. And this position will arise. My next move will be f5, e4, and so on, creating the open diagonal for my bishop. This is already open, and we have fantastic one. Also, knight before here is even much better, actually. Sorry, because this literally creates the pressure on c2, d3, and so on. So my opponent couldn't do that immediately. If they take back with pawn, I'm anyway having knight e7 move, or I can play again knight before, so this is not good for them. I was thinking that maybe my opponent will play something like bishop f1, but that just allows me to jump immediately on d4, and then this pawn is a weakness, so not really knight e5 works here. Knight e4 can be gone also. So that's why my opponent plays e3. But in the future, if I launch some pawn strike, then this pawn can be a hook for some tactical ideas. So yeah, not easy position for white, not easy even though you're experienced player in the Kalashnikov against Kalashnikov. That's why Kalashnikov is so solid opening. Apparently, I expected something like this. My opponent decided to jump. I took it, they took it back with a pawn. I bring my bishop back here. And in this moment, after kicking my knight away, knight f5, I'm inviting them to take, which actually happened. And now after bishop takes, pawn takes, all things are exchanged. Apparently white is fine here, but he needs to find the move f4, which is very hard to play. Because white players are usually thinking that e4 is good for black. It's not. It's actually a bad decision. Because then this pawn is a weakness and queen can always be there to put a pressure on it. Also, this diagonal is not a problem because bishop e3, bishop d4 is going to be on the way. People are thinking that this position is great for black, but it's actually good for white. So f4 is not easy to play, and after queen h5, which was inaccuracy, already black is slightly better because I'm taking the chance myself to play this move f4. After this, the logical move of my opponent is queen f5 to stop f5 being played, because this will actually create a lot of space. Imagine now they play bishop d2 and now f5 is something I want. Yeah, this is a weakness because there's no other pawn to protect this pawn behind. But, okay, any other pawn, but I can protect it with queen or rook. But the point is just to cover here, and yeah, in some moment the queen will be restricted, so maybe some kingside attack ideas. Rook can be lifted on different side of the board by pushing f3 and so on. And black is having already great position. That's why my opponent understands that queen f5 could be tricky. And now I played rook c5 in order to put a pressure on this pawn. Rook to d1 defends it, and now queen b6. So the next following moves are really confusing to me anyway, even though I knew the explanation why I'm playing these moves. Certainly here, white is not having so much ideas how to develop his pieces. If they do this, pawn is falling down here or here. If they move this rook somewhere like this, I'm playing queen b3, double attack on rook and double attack on the pawn. If they push b4, rook c3. So they're really not having so much options, so I understand this move. It's passive, but protects b3 square. And if I move my queen, they want to play rook b3 and focus on b7, which actually happened in the game. That's why I played rook c4, focusing on a4 pawn. And on the other hand, I'm controlling maybe e4 square, why not? So my idea is maybe to play something like queen a5 and then put pressure here. My opponent played queen d7 in order to create the counterplay on these pawns here. Now I play the move f5 because I grabbed the chance of controlling the light squares, so I'm not really scared about this check. My opponent played a5, kick my queen away. I offered a queen trade, and actually I like this queen trade because after take and rook b3, which looks very logical, I'm going to set up rook from f to f7 to make additional support. And after something like rook to b3, I'm going to play rook from f to d7. And when they move something, I'm going to play bishop to f8, protect this pawn. And this rook will come here on the other side to create the trouble on the king side. And this rook will be enough flexible to put a pressure on certain ranks. And black is better here. I like this endgame, and I honestly was expecting something like this, but apparently my opponent decides to keep the queens on the board, which is actually smart. He's keeping the tension on the board. Now rook from f to f7. There's no other rook, but I'm self-pinning myself. The reason why, because now I got one great idea. After rook b3, this is a blunder apparently. So pause the video and find the winning move for black. I didn't find it in a game. I play queen d7, which looks very natural. But what I was supposed to play is fantastic move, king to f8. Why this move? Stepping out of the pin and setting up rook f6, which will not be able to stop. Why? Because queen is literally trapped. I'm gonna trap the queen. That's it. Game is over. Like, the last thing they can try is rook takes b7, but queen takes b7, queen takes d6, and rook g8. We're just rook down, rook up, and they cannot play like this. So I honestly didn't think in the game about queen traps. I was seeing that queen is not having so much space, but on the other hand, I mean, okay, never mind. I won the game anyway. This would be so painful if I had a winning move in just one move, king f8 to win, but I didn't see it. And then rook f6 followed by to trap the queen. If I lost the game, this will be tough to acknowledge. So after this, queen d7, my opponent played rook to b6, and suddenly he got some activity. Bishop f8 protects the pawn on d6. g3, fantastic move by my opponent. I decided to trade off the queens here and play rook g7. So we are now in some endgame where it's definitely mess on the board. There is an annoying pawn here on e6. There is a certain pressure here on d6 and so on. King h2, logical move. Now we take, and now I play the move rook e4, activating the rook for rook e2. So rook e2 is actually a big threat, because after that I'm threatening to take on g3. And my bishop is doing awesome job protecting here, protecting the pawn to get pushed, and I'm ready to create some paths here. So I'm glad that I found this, and I'm proud of myself, because this is not easy, especially in time scramble, to find all of this. And you have to be really precise, because if I play anything else, like let's say I play something like rook to c6 here, this is just not good, because bishop h6, and like if I take the rook, they will take back. I will play rook g6, they will take my bishop, I will take back, and then after rook takes b6, suddenly I'm worse. And I don't want this. So rook e4, keeping pieces on the board, no trades, activating the piece. King g2, reasonable. If they play something like rook to d2, I was preparing d5, yes. And they cannot capture the pawn, because check, and after something like king g1, check, and after they move the king, I just caught the bishop, and I'm piece up. Still, I need to be careful about this pawn, but there is enough pieces that controls this, so I'm happy about that. I'm gonna give a check, maybe extend some pawn up. This could be a target, and so on. We are just much better. So d5 was a great resource here. They cannot capture. I'm ready to, push the pawns more, and this bishop cannot get out, and that's the problem. So my opponent played king g2. I gave a check. They went here, and I play rook h2. I thought that this position is better for me, because I'm on my way to play e4 here. Bishop h6, and suddenly white is better. There is only one line why white is better here. Let me show you. King f4, rook f2, all of this is very forced. The reason why they can't play immediately here is because of this check, and then bishop is falling down with tempo. So that's why they need firstly to, after this check, to go here, provoke my rook to come here, and after this I cannot take on g3 because king will take my rook if I take their bishop. That's the main story, so I need to include this check. And now my opponent went back, and this was blunder. This was very big mistake. You see how the engines immediately goes in my favor. Instead of that, they should go here. But it's definitely crazy how much after this move, I saw this move and I was thinking, okay, after they take me here, I'm gonna play rook d3, trade of these rooks here, and when they move the king here, I'm gonna take this bishop. They're gonna take on b7 or something. I'm gonna, just start pushing these pawns after moving my rook, and I'm gonna be just winning, which is actually a winning position for black. But apparently, after king d4 and rook takes g3, rook takes b7, and I'm I can resign. I can resign. Because after bishop takes h6, rook b8 check, firstly moving my king. Cannot come closer. And after king g7, e7. I can't stop promotion. Even I can't sacrifice the piece for this pawn. And that's bad. That's just bad. So I honestly briefly saw something like this to leave the bishop on h6 in order to push this pawn, but I underestimated in the time scramble. I was relying that my opponent will play this move, and I see that this move is not good for them because I'm just activating my pieces that fast. As you see, I give a check here. I push d3, which is not the best option, but you know, suddenly here this endgame is, you know, much better for me, and now here it's over because 2 pawns can be stopped. My king is coming with them, and that's it. Maybe the last chance for my opponent was, instead of capturing this pawn, is to go rook to d3, provoke the move f4, and then play rook d4. I will play rook f2, and now somehow to hold this by, you know, extending these pawns here. I can't move my rook because of f pawn, and my king cannot come closer. They're gonna always defend this if I play king e7. Okay, let's say c4, king e7. Rook e4 will protect the pawn, and I cannot leave this because they're gonna just push and white will be winning after promotion. So I need to keep my king here. I should try maybe something like h5 here, but you know, this is already equal. Like they're gonna play b4, I'm gonna extend more, and they're gonna just wait. They don't have to do anything. If I move my king back, there is always e7, and this was the only drawish chance for my opponent. But in time scramble, all of this is really hard to imagine. Both of us were blundering here. Firstly, I blunder with decision of not taking the queen earlier with king f8 move, if you remember. Then later, I forgot about piece sacrifice of the bishop here with the rook takes b7 move, where after capturing they can promote a queen very quickly with check. My opponent blunder, he made his king passive, and later the endgame was tough to defend because practically it's not possible. But anyway, the game was good. The opening was super fine. You see that I just get out of the opening very solid and had a fantastic position there. I can recommend you playing this. Kalashnikov is one of my favorite openings, so keep being updated about these videos. I'm gonna post more content about Kalashnikov for sure. And that's it for today. So the last round is tomorrow, and we're gonna be in touch for that. So see you later. Bye.